The federal government yesterday reacted to the alleged seizure of 3 presidential planes in Paris, France, following a dispute between a private Chinese firm and the Ogun State government, saying those aircraft are sovereign assets and therefore immune from confiscation. Citing extant principles of international law, the government acknowledged that the actions of a subnational or local entity were attributable to the state or country itself. However, the Nigerian government said it had commenced both legal and diplomatic moves to recover the 3 aircraft in the presidential fleet.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are across the world. My name is Kwame Gonza. The Nigerian government, as if it is not enough, the Tinubu government has continued to embarrass the African people with how it operates and how it governs the country. And of course, Nigeria being the biggest country across the African continent, all over the African continent, this embarrassment in itself also catches the African people. The African people also catch them. So let us look at what is happening in Nigeria. As if the oil saga is not enough with the Dangote oil refinery, where the government has failed to provide crude oil to Dangote, and Dangote is fighting back because the Tinubu administration is incapable of reining in on the international oil companies to force them to give oil to the Dangote, as if that is not enough. The Dangote, refinery, of course, is struggling, as we know, to make sure things work. And the government of Tinubu has now, involved itself in another embarrassment of the Africans as a leader. And of course, this could be because of certain reasons. That is why the government is involved in this kind of embarrassment. And what is this embarrassment in itself? Let us have a look at it, the embarrassment that we are talking about. The government came out a few days ago to comment on the fact that there was seizure of Nigeria's 3 aircrafts. Nigeria had 3 presidential aircrafts, of course, the ownership of which also we will talk about later, because some of the aircraft, of course, were bought when others were existent, and especially the new one, the newest one, which is a Boeing 330. So we are going to 330. So the presidency said that it is aware of the failed attempt by a Chinese company. Actually, it is not a failed attempt, even though they are saying that it is a failed attempt. It was not a failed attempt. A Chinese company called Zhongshan Funsheng Industrial Investment Company Limited to take over offshore assets of the federal government. So the Nigerian government came out to say that these are offshore assets, and therefore they are immune. They are immune to seizure by anyone. Now, but let us go back to where this all started. Now, this started by the Ogun state government, which is a state within Nigeria, when it entered into a contract with this Chinese company called Zhongshan Funshang, which is a very difficult Chinese name, Zhongchang Funsheng. All right. So they entered into a contract for this Chinese company to develop a free zone area, a free trade zone area, whereby goods would come in. A free trade zone area basically means where goods can come in, and when goods come in, those goods are not taxed, and the exchange of goods takes place in this particular zone. Now, this zone is supposed to have certain infrastructure. So when they started developing this infrastructure, somehow, somewhere along the line, it looks like they were not doing the right thing. So the state government, which is the Ogun state, cancelled the contract. Now, when they cancelled the contract, this Chinese company took the case to England, to the United Kingdom, and they won the case for the compensation, and they are supposed to be compensated. They said that they lost about $70 million through this. Now, this is where they escalated and got an injunction, a court injunction from the French government, because the aircraft have recently gone to France for service because they are French aircraft. I think let me take the opportunity to show you the type of planes. All right. So the aircraft are in France. They went to France for repair. So that is what we are learning. That these aircraft which went to France for repair is a Dassault, of course, 7X, approximately. It would cost around $53 million. And there's also a Boeing 737, which of course the price ranges from 50 to 70 million. And then the Airbus A330, which was acquired recently, and that aircraft is close to 100, million dollars. Now they sent this aircraft to France for repair, all right, for service, and that is what happened. So these Chinese now, they were just timing, all right. The Chinese were just timing the government. So this is what happened, that they were timing the government, and they went to the French court, to one French court, and the French court granted them the permission to take the aircraft. And so this is where actually becomes very difficult, even dealing with these Western people. So however much you are friendly to them, however much you give, you make concessions to them, they still embarrass you. All right. And some people, of course, have suggested that the Western world has something on President Tinubu. So that is why they are embarrassing the government in this kind of manner. Now, the government came out to say that these are sovereign property. You cannot seize them. All right. These are sovereign property. You cannot seize them. And therefore, they went to a higher court, which they thought that will be able to stop this seizure by the Chinese. But then this government, this court also in the United States, to which the Nigerian government referred the case, also turned against the Nigerian government. So the United States court also upheld the 70 million award to the Chinese firm, and they say that the seizure is within the seizure is within the contract, the agreed contract, and therefore the awarding of these 70 million to the Chinese firm by the French is in line with with the law. All right, the court rejected Nigerian sovereignty immunity defense to the enforcement of a 70 million investment treaty award won by Zhongshan Fengsheng Industrial Investment Company Limited, a Chinese investor in a free trade zone. Nigeria had gruesomely violated both fundamental and commercial rights of the Chinese firm. Judges of the U.S. Court of Appeals in Washington, D.C. ruled. Now, for me, when I look at what is happening here, it shows me as if in some way the West is conniving to embarrass us. If you remember why I said that, President Tinubu may have certain issues, that he has certain cases. That is why they are pulling Nigeria like this. And they are pulling, of course, embarrassing the whole African continent. That is why he cannot act. They have something on him. We remember that the investigative journalist, David Huyenden, came out to investigate Tinubu and his drug trafficking. All right. The CIA and the FBI refused to release the documents. All right. And he had to take it to court, even in the United States itself, within the United States itself. So when they took the FBI and the CIA to the courts, they released the documents. But those documents which they released, actually, they removed Tinubu's name and some of his associates. All right. But what this showed is that there's a case for President Tinubu to answer when it comes to the issue of drug trafficking and money laundering, which David Huyenden was pursuing against the President Tinubu. So why am I bringing this? The reason I'm bringing this is because this man is not acting in the interest of the Africans. He's not acting in the interest of Africa. All right. Now, this means that they have something on him. And it is very similar even to President Ruto. You remember that he was very Pan-Africanist when he came to power. Now, later on, we understood that he started walking back his steps, okay, from calling for a Pan-African payment system, Pan-African payment and settlement system, to advancing it and encouraging Africans to use, which was, of course, formed by the Africa Import and Export Bank, to now standing up against the government in Mali, Niger, and all this. And we saw him reversing his step. And now we have seen him implementing policies by the International Monetary Fund and the IMF, and the World Bank, International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. So this showed us that somewhere, somehow, is likely, and of course, we saw the United States diplomats frequenting President Ruto's office during this period when he was pumping up his Pan-African, rhetoric across the African continent. We saw United States diplomats, all right, doing their frequent visits to his office, to the State House in Kenya, in Nairobi. So, it worried us, of course, as Pan-Africans, and of course, the results later which came out is likely that they brought the cases they have against him, probably papers, probably some monies, he has been stealing from the country, probably even the case in which he was involved, a case which was dismissed, to which he was party, the case which they were party together with President Uhuru Kenyatta, which was dismissed. It could have been one of the reasons why they were frequenting his office, to show him that they have something on him if he doesn't act in their interest. And so this is what we are seeing across the African continent, is that the imperialists have taken over our continent. And what they've been doing actually is that they install puppets within the African continent, within the African states. And especially they install people they have a case on, right? They have a case on somebody and they install him in power because they want him to achieve for them certain things. So who knows what they have on President Ruto? Who knows what they have on all the other African presidents? And we should not be surprised why the African Union is not functioning, because the various heads of state, they are the ones who have the power to make the African Union work. But the African Union is dysfunctional. It doesn't do anything in the interest of the people. The African heads of state, few of them, apart from President Afwerki, and a few of them who stand up for the interests of the Africans, they just keep quiet whenever there is an embarrassment, whenever there is a humiliation of Africans anywhere, whether it is in the Mediterranean, whether it is in India, whether it is in China, they just keep quiet. Everything is keep quiet. Now, what is looking like over here, what we are seeing is that it's like now the Chinese are collaborating with the Europeans to humiliate the Africans. And of course, this is where the saying by Dr. Henry Clark, that Africans, you are on your own, you have no friends. Africans have no friends, really. Okay, because even our Chinese friends, now they are turning against us. Even our Chinese friends, they are turning against us. But this is what is happening. This is what is happening really within Nigeria. Now, the question now arises, because we are in this together as Africans, whether you are on the continent or you're in the diaspora, we have to find a solution to this problem. What do we do about what is happening right now? What do we do about this problem that the imperialists now, they have decided to use all tactics to maintain their position on the African continent? We have been wondering why President Tinubu has not said anything regarding the refinery saga, the Dangote oil refinery saga, and he has kept quiet. All right, he has kept quiet, okay, and not knowing that these people is likely they have something on him, and therefore the embarrassment is going to continue across the African continent. Now, what do we do about such an issue for us as Africans? We need to do something. I'm telling you, we need to do something, and we need to do it real quick. During this period when the world is changing and is changing rapidly, we have an opportunity when these imperialists actually, in one way or the other, they are, distracted with the war that is happening in Ukraine and all the other squabbles that they are engaged in with China and all these. We need to do something as Pan-Africanists. We need to do something as Africans. But what do you think that we should do? Because the mission of our generation is to take on imperialism and expel it from the African continent, and that means exposing all its puppets on the African continent. This is one of the things which I believe that we have to do. We have to come out and expose the puppets on the African continent. people like Tinubu, people like Nana Addo, people like, you know, the Zambian president Hichilema, all these puppets, people like Ruto, all these guys are puppets. These are puppets, and we need to say it how it is. People like Ouattara of Ivory Coast, we need to come out and say it like it is, that these are puppets. And we know that you guys are puppets, and you need to stop being puppets on our African continent. But let me hear from you. What do you think that we should do? Because we are on this together. We are in this together, we Africans. There's no way we can do anything about this situation unless we come and act together as Africans. We are on this journey together. My name is Kwame Gonza. Please put your comment, put your suggestions in the comment section, and let us start a discussion on these problems that we are facing, because the humiliation looks like the humiliation now is escalating beyond our own liking as Africans. So put those suggestions in the comment section and we will read them. And like the video, please, and share it with other people so that we can start a discussion around these problems that are affecting the African continent. And of course, take active steps towards defeating neocolonialism and imperialism across the African continent. Thank you very much. My name is Kwame Gonza, and we love you very much at Connect Africa. See you next time. Peace.